Hello, hola mi gente. It's me, the Kaizen Investor. I am here tonight with an extra special guest, my beloved friend Meesh, who is going to teach us about business credit. So let me bring her on the show, everybody. Welcome, Meesh. Hi.
Hey y'all. Hey Gia. Thank you so much. I'm super duper excited.
I'm excited to have you on too. This is awesome.
Yes.
So, Meesh, let
Mhm.
everybody know who you are and what you do.
Okay, just to give everyone a bit of background about myself, I'm Mish, Capital Credit Meesh on social media. I specialize in business credit and consumer credit. I've helped people all over the country establish business credit, get 5 to 6 figure funding, and help them level up when it comes to consumer credit as well. I love to call myself the queen of credit level up.
Yes.
Um, this is what I do. This is my passion. And I've been at it for a few years now and had some pretty great success. So I'm really excited to share information with everyone else tonight too about the process.
This is really, really cool.
Mhm.
Because what you don't know is that I kind of hooked you in so I can have a free consultation. You didn't know that, Mitch. That's what we're really doing
That's all
tonight.
right. That's all right. Let's get to it. My girl, Gia, we can do that.
And yes, shout out to my sweetheart Molly here on Instagram. Yes, Hood Estates Elite.
Hey, boo. Hey,
Yes.
Molly.
And Tanya, Hood Estates Elite. Yes, family. Hi,
Hey,
beautiful ones. Stick together like glue. That's how we
y'all.
do it. That's how we do it. So here's what I want to know. I want to ask you a very obvious question, but very necessary one. What is the benefit of having business credit? What's the basic benefit of it?
Well,
Basic.
I can't give you a one word answer, like a one
Okay,
sentence
go for
answer to that. But some of the benefits, right? Any financial expert is going to tell you no commingling funds. That was one of my recent posts on IG. You never want to commingle your funds. That means you want to keep your personal funds separate from your business fund. In addition to that, it's really important for any business to survive. You're going to need what? Cash flow, right?
it.
And any wealthy person is going to tell you you want to be able, if you can, to leverage other people's money to build wealth. And business credit really allows you to do that because with business credit, you are able to leverage other people's funding to build your business. And the
Mm,
difference, big difference with business credit, is like according to the SBA, right? And this is you guys can look this up. Business credit approvals are like at least a 10 times to like 100 times higher on the business side than they are on the consumer side, right? So you get
wow.
approved for so much more money on the business side than you do and you can on the personal side. So those are some of the major benefits of business credit. And when done correctly, you are able to establish business credit oftentimes without a PG, also known as a personal guarantee,
Mhm.
um, which means, God forbid, you face some type of financial hardship. You get this
Mhm.
money, you get access to all of this capital, and for whatever reason, things didn't work out. COVID hits, right?
Yeah.
Something happens unforeseen, and you're not really able to make it. Guess what? All of your personal assets are safe. They cannot come after your personal assets. So
Nice.
the house that you own, you're good. They can't sue you. You can have $50,000 in your bank account, okay? And you can owe 50,000 on the business side, but they can't come after your personal assets. So that is a major key.
That's huge.
Yeah.
That's huge. Now, the natural question that many people have, and I used to have, but now I have you, Mish, which
Mhm.
is, do you have to be in business for X amount of years? Do you have to have a particular amount of gross income as a business before I start applying for business credit?
So yes and no, right?
Okay.
So a lot of lenders, it depends on the lender.
Okay.
It's not a general answer. A lot of lenders like to see 2 years,
Okay.
right? But that doesn't mean you have to be in business for 2 years. it also, when you apply for these lines of credit and these accounts, one of the things that I do is I help my clients do that and know how to answer questions on the application that are ways that they are more likely to get approved. So
Mm,
sometimes people say they think, okay, well, I've been in business, if the lender wants me to be in business for 2 years, well, tag, I just registered my business a year ago.
yeah.
Okay. And let's say your business is you do here, right? And I might say, okay, well, you registered your business a year ago, but how long were you doing other people's hair? Oh, girl, I've been doing that for 5 years. Well, that's how long you've been in business for me, you know, and that's how we do it, and because it doesn't ask you on the application oftentimes, when did you register it? So if it
True.
asks how long in business, that's how you're going to answer that question, if
Got
that
it.
right? So there's little things like that I would walk my clients through. You There are amounts that they like to see, but this
Okay.
isn't. It's important for me to let people know this isn't revenue, right?
Got it.
Like it's not like net revenue. They just want to see cash flow coming in. As I mentioned earlier, right? Cash flow is key. It's how any business is going to survive. So if they're seeing consistent cash flow of certain amounts, which I go through with my clients, like what that
Hmm.
cash flow looks like and how often that cash flow needs to hit their account, they're good. So you don't have
Gotcha.
to be a business, rolling in the dough. It's fine for startups. Like a lot of startups, this is how they get started, right? Through business credit. So people think that they have to have all this revenue and be some big time business in order to get business credit and get lines of credit. No, no, it's
Wow.
perfect for startups. And one of the things that I like to say, my little phrase is, business credit is the only type of credit that you can get extended to you without the three C's. And those three C's are credit, and credit and cash flow,
Wow.
right? So you do have to have some cash flow
Yeah.
ideally for the lines, but you can get credit, meaning you can open up accounts without that cash flow,
Got
right?
it.
And that's how you're going to start off. Now, when you get the funding and stuff, they're going to want to see that, but you can open up accounts without cash flow, without collateral, right? And the collateral being when you start off, when you purchase a home, right? And you
Hmm.
have a mortgage, that house is your collateral. So if you ever stop paying on that mortgage, they're going to do what? They're going to come
Foreclose.
try to take the home from you. Same thing with your car when you finance a car. That's the collateral. Well, with business credit, you can start opening up accounts without any collateral. You can open up accounts without that cash flow. And you do not have to have prior credit history. On the consumer side, they're going to want you to have credit to get credit, which is like, what? Like, how?
Yeah.
How do I start building? So oftentimes on a consumer side, right, they're going to say, if you haven't built any credit history, you'll start off with secured cards,
Hmm.
right? And that is their collateral because typically they'll say, okay, give us $500. This is a secured card, but you're fronting that money. And if you ever mess up, that's their collateral. Business
Yep.
credit, you don't have to worry about stuff like that to get started.
Huge.
Yeah.
That's huge, Niche. Wow.
So, so,
Yeah,
so,
I see why you couldn't answer that in one word. I see. Now, can you
yeah.
explain to people? I've heard this before, but I want deeper clarification. I was in my research, I saw that there's different tiers of business credit. Is that correct? What are
Yes,
those
yes.
tiers?
So the beginning tier are like the accounts that I just mentioned, like when you're
Okay.
first starting off, how you're going to be able to get that credit without those three C's.
Hmm.
Um, Typically, these look like net 30 accounts. Now, one thing that's important for me to mention, a lot of people struggle with business credit because 90% of business merchants do not report on time payments,
Oh,
right? So they'll report if you don't pay, right? But a lot of them don't report on-time payments. So the key is you have to start opening up accounts with merchants that are going to report those on-time payments. That way you can start building your credit history. And this isn't going to be the first step, but in terms of the tiers, you'll start off with like a net accounts, and the net means like you'll basically get an invoice. Typically, common net accounts are net 30 accounts, meaning you have 30 days to pay for it. So they'll send you the
Got it.
product, and then you have 30 days to pay for it. Now, some accounts might be net 60, and that means 60 days.
Got
So
it.
that's like the first tier. And then once you have some of those accounts, then you can move to other accounts, because now you've already established some credit. If you've done everything else that you've needed to do on the front end, you've already established some credit. And now you can move to a tier like maybe that's store cards or credit cards or gas cards and things like that.
And what tier is the Amazon card? See, that's my personal question. That's my personal.
Amazon tier, I believe I believe it's the second tier. If it's not the second tier, it's the third. It's the second or third tier.
Got it. Got it. Now, in the meantime, before I continue, I have to shout out my friends and family in the room. Hello, Raphael. Hello, Tanya. And hello, Enchanta. I know.
Oh,
The gang's
hey.
out here. The gang's out here. Hey, everybody. Thank you for joining us tonight. Please feel free to pop your questions in the chat as we continue. So, okay. So we have our tiers. We recognize, I've learned already that no, I do not have to be raking in the dough for years on end before I qualify
Nope.
for business credit.
Nope.
Now, my follow-up question to that is, okay, what are the basic requirements? Does one have to have an entity? Because I hear different things about that as well. I've heard, yes, you need to have a formal LLC or some form of entity. And I've also heard, no, you don't have to have an entity. What is your thoughts on that, Niche?
So from what I know, you do need
Okay,
an entity. Yes.
got it. All
Everything
right,
that I know and what I've learned, you do need an entity. And
thank you.
um, in terms of the entity, right? Lots of times when I do my consultations, this is part of the process, and this is what I ask people, because depending on the entity, you won't be able to get credit without a personal guarantee. So
Got
that is
it.
important. If you are a sole proprietorship, right? Um, you will be personally guaranteeing that money.
Yeah,
So it's important for people to realize that. And that's just because that's what that means. That's how that entity is set up, where you're not separating yourself from your business. But other than that, you will be able to separate yourself from your business and get that lending and funding without the personal guarantee at some point throughout the process.
thank you for clarifying that, because whenever I heard that information, I always thought to myself, well, wouldn't that defeat the purpose of keeping your personal credit different from your business credit if you're personal guaranteeing with your own personal social security
Right,
number? And
right.
don't those transactions still go under your personal credit, or they would go under?
It would go under your business credit, even if you could. So,
Wow. Okay.
yeah. So sometimes in the beginning process, right, you still might be asked for your social security number.
Mhm.
Um, and, that's a call that you have to make. So maybe on the smaller accounts, when you're building it, that's what you'll do. You'll say, okay, yeah, no problem, because you have a greater goal and
Yes.
you want to get to the point where they're not doing it. And maybe, you know, there may be a personal guarantee. There's a lot of factors. Every
Of
business
course.
is different, but then you have to, but let's say it's, again, the amounts are so much larger. So
Yes.
maybe somebody might say, you know what, based on, for whatever reason, the lender does want to personally guarantee this, then you have to make a business decision. Okay, well, do I still want to do it? Is it still worth it to me? Will it still, will it help
Mhm.
me? Um,
Get where you're trying to
and it,
go.
exactly.
But however, best practice in the end is to have an entity. Yes, or best
Yes,
practice.
definitely.
Okay, we'll leave it there.
Yeah,
Things get murky,
you
so
need that.
best
You need that
practice.
entity. I haven't heard about business credit without the business entity, but
Yeah, yes, best practice. People have
yeah,
an entity. Do it right, especially because if you're building an empire, you want to have a solid foundation. Everybody,
exactly,
grab an
exactly.
entity. It's not that hard. It really isn't that hard. Seriously. So okay, we have our credit, we have our business credit, we have our first tier. You already went through the three tiers actually. Now, I want to follow up with that, to be honest, in light of current events. How could someone, if they took the time to build business credit, float their business during difficult times that we're dealing with now?
Oh, I mean, that's the point of the credit,
Hmm.
right? It allows you to float your business. It allows you because businesses have different um, the flow of cash is not consistent. Like
Mm,
everyone knows that, right? So you're gonna have slow months sometimes in business, and it's not because you're doing something wrong. No, that's how all
business
businesses
works.
work.
Yep.
you know um and like, for example, in the retail field, right, in the retail industry, typically January is a slow month. It's one of the slower months of the year, point blank period. So sometimes you need that cash flow and that money still coming in, and maybe you're going to use that, you're going to front your business credit for payroll purposes, which is
Hmm.
fine. Maybe that will be for your marketing, to get ready for February, which is a busier month sometimes because tax returns. So that's how you're going to, it helps you stay afloat, because if you don't have that, if you don't
Got
have
it.
access to that cash, you're out of business. One of the things that I
Yeah.
like to tell people, and just being like keeping it super real with y'all, because sometimes people say, okay, well, do you have to have business credit to like have a successful business? No, like, you don't have to have
Mm,
business credit, right? But what I will tell you, as a business owner, having business credit, oh, it's gonna make your life a hell of a lot easier. Like, it's going to offer you um, ability to scale in ways that you probably weren't able to scale prior to, and it's going to help with cash flow. So if you do end up having cash flow issues, it'll help float your business until it improves.
wow. That's huge.
Mhm.
Seriously, that's really, really huge. My goodness. Oh, I wanted to address Raphael's statement. He said, I've heard to stay away from Capital One business cards because they still report to your personal credit. Have you heard anything about that, Mish?
Capital One business credit cards.
Hmm.
So typically, here's the thing: people think that they have business credit because they got a business credit card. And that doesn't automatically mean you have business credit.
Huh?
So yeah, so basically, right? For example, let's say you open up a bank account, and you have like you have a business bank account, you get your business debit card. In the
Uh-huh.
same way, you can get business credit cards. Those business credit cards, if you have not established business credit, it's a business card, but it's not. They're just you're still 100% personally liable for that money, if that makes sense. So if you haven't, for example, so if somebody says, "Oh yeah, I have business credit. I have a business credit card." Okay, well, what's your business credit score? "Oh, I don't know, or I don't have one." You're 100% personal guaranteeing that money. I
What?
know on that Capital One application, yeah, they're reporting to your consumer credit, because that is, you PG that. That's why they're reporting to your consumer credit, because
Wow.
you're personally liable for that money. So when you get to the point where you are um, establishing accounts that you're not personally liable for, that's just reported on the business side. And even like your net 30 accounts, they're not reporting that on your on the consumer side. That's
No.
just being reported on the business side, because that that is a true business account.
Okay. I need you to roll that back because
Mhm.
that's huge.
So yeah, and
That's
it's not to
huge.
say, it's not to say, I don't want to like, you know, disappoint people like, oh, you don't have real credit, but though, like,
So
earlier.
how would
Mhm,
one know? Because if okay, let's pretend, like I said, my friend Raphael, he
mhm.
is from what everybody, if you're not listening to Tweet Talk podcast, make sure you're watching, not watching, listening to Tweet Talk podcast. But let's pretend he opens up a Tweet Talk business credit card.
Mhm.
How does one make sure that that is tied to his business and
So
not to him personally?
so one, you can start off by, you can ask, you can clarify with the creditor. Um, Two, you'll know if they give you the account. right? Without putting your social, that's
Okay.
another sign.
Yeah, true.
You know,
Should be your
so
EIN. Uh-huh.
those are ways that you can determine if if it is truly separate. But
Got it.
for the most part, if you haven't done the steps to establish business credit, because it's not just with opening up the accounts. You have to, they want to see your business looking a certain way, similar to the
Mhm.
question that you asked, like how long in business. That's just one little tiny aspect, but there's things that they look for in terms of your business. So,
Got it.
um, sorry, I'm like just blinked out and lost my train of thought. So,
Sure.
okay. So, um, when you're doing that stuff, if you haven't hit all the necessary steps. If you don't know your business credit score,
Okay.
chances are you don't have business credit that you're
Okay.
not personally liable for.
Got it. So since you mentioned that, let's go into that. How does one check their business credit score and what are business credit score ranges? What's good? What's fair? What's horrible?
All right, so there are a few sites that people can use to check. That's more like the consultation
Oh,
thing
sorry.
that I do. But I mean, I'll give some because we're on here. But like you can check with Duns and Bradstreet, for
Okay.
example. You can check with various ones. Now, certain ones, like what I do in the consult, I recommend the less expensive ones
Mhm.
because it does cost to monitor your business credit to a certain extent. So you can see like a basic profile, but if you want a more detailed report, typically it does cost you. Now, business credit goes up to a score of 100. So
Okay.
you can get to it like that, where your FICO score goes up to an 850. Business credit is 0 to 100, and it takes 6 months to get a consumer FICO score, right? Because there's
Yeah.
so many things involved in that. There's on-time payments, utilization, length of credit, right?
Yep.
Yeah, all that doesn't matter. You know what I mean? Utilization doesn't matter with business credit. Length of credit history doesn't matter with business credit. So you can get to a great credit score in no time. All they're concerned about is, do you pay your bills on time? That's what they're looking for.
Wow. And that's reasonable. That's so
Mhm,
reasonable. Seriously.
mhm.
So here's another follow-up question to that. What would one do if, let's pretend that for some reason Amazon does not report that I paid my Net 30 account on time?
So,
Do I send them a love letter? What do I do?
so uh, business credit is not like consumer credit.
Okay.
There's not laws in place that
Ah,
protect
gotcha. Wait,
reporting like there are on the consumer side.
got it.
So it's very important that you're on top of it. You can try to fight it, but it's not like so there's credit restoration companies, right, on
Yep.
the consumer
All over
side.
the place.
Have you
Yep.
heard of it for the business side?
No.
And it's because you know it's maybe, but yeah, it's real difficult. So you really just have to make sure um you're on it, and you can try to fight things, but it's a real challenge. They're not obligated. There's no laws in place that
Wow.
they're obligated to prove like it is on the consumer side.
So you say over and over again, which I appreciate, you have to be on it. So in what ways could one prevent that from happening?
Well, I mean, typically the the creditors, they don't really make a ton of mistakes, to be
Okay.
honest. Like,
Okay. Okay.
even on the consumer side, like they can with like your personal information, but usually if they say
Mm.
you missed the payment, now it still gets deleted because there's a
Yeah.
lot of laws and protection in place. But for the most part, if you pay on time, I haven't seen any with my clients where they didn't, they paid on time and it reported they didn't pay on time. But
Hmm.
the process would be, you would send a letter to the creditor, I would send your proof, whatever proof that you have, and then you can hope that they delete it. You want to monitor your credit, and so that's what I say: be on top of it, so you can check
Got it.
for any errors that potentially can occur, and you want to hop on them right away. You can also there's also ways to change your business information, and that's really important because uh, the creditors and lenders, they want everything real cohesive. They want to make sure
Mhm.
everything is legit, right? And sometimes you might have a new business address, right? But you don't want it on your report to be reporting one address and you put on an application another address. So that is doable, and there are ways
Yeah.
to easily change that. But in terms of um, missed payments and disputing, that's gets a little bit more tricky.
Okay. All right. Now, for people who have already built their business credit, what are some mistakes you've seen people do with their business credit that you would warn people not to do? So, what are some common mistakes you've seen people do? So, misuse of business credit. And what is some proper use of business credit that you've seen people not really take advantage of?
So I think it's key to use business credit for investing.
Mhm.
It's not, a mistake would be, and to me, I even look at consumer credit the same too. Even on the
Mhm. Yes,
consumer credit, you want to use that credit to make you more money. Like, and that's what I
exactly.
tell all my clients, but the amounts are so large, somebody could say, "Oh, let me get this line of credit and take a trip." Foolish, uh you shouldn't, but that's something that somebody, if they get that money, you can do what, typically whatever you want with it if you
Mhm.
just get the line. So you want to use it. You want to use it to invest. Now, a lot of people think that it has to be like they think of the investing in their business as maybe like a marketing expense or
Mhm.
payroll, which is great, right? But you can use it for real estate too. You know,
How? How, Mish?
oh, they love
Let us
that.
know,
I mean,
Mish.
right, perfect. Honestly, lenders eat that up. It's a much safer investment for them.
Mm.
Um, if they find out, okay, because they're gonna, like, once you get to that six-figure funding,
Yep.
they're gonna ask what the money is for. And even before the six-figure funding, once you start getting some numbers, they're gonna want to know, okay, well, what is this, what are you using this for? And they love to hear that it's for real estate, because they feel like their investment is safer, because real
Yes.
estate is an asset,
Yep.
and it's not risky. They might want to analyze some numbers. That's pretty
Okay.
common. So, they may ask you, okay, well, what's the address? They might do their own analysis. They're going to ask you maybe, is this a flip? Is this, but a lot of people use it to flip properties.
That's
A
awesome.
lot of people use it, and it's perfect because oftentimes the business lines are much shorter terms.
Got
I
it.
don't know of any 30-year term
No.
business credit lines, you know what I mean, where you'll get a 30-year term for buying a home on a consumer side. So the terms are a lot shorter. So how people typically may do it in terms of real estate, my clients, they may okay, buy a property and flip it, or if they're going to hold it, buy it, fix it up, and
Mhm.
then refinance. With that refinance money, you're paying your lender back, but
Nice.
now you got, everything is all set.
Nice. Very, very nice. Hey, everybody on Instagram land, the real party is happening over on YouTube. Click the link in my bio and join the party. Okay, guys? All questions are going to be answered here first on YouTube anyway. So trust me, you want to join it. Niche is over here dropping gems. I'm just
Yeah,
saying. I'm
yeah,
just
can I
saying.
just tell you, I just love your energy is just so bomb. You're just so
Oh,
like
that's so sweet.
no, for real. Like you're just so like calm and just like
So
like
sweet. You're the
you
best. Thank
just
you.
yeah, you love your
Thank
energy is
you.
so super amazing.
Thank you. I love it. I love it. I love this. I love this. All of this is just awesome to me. I love this because everyone has gifts to share. Everyone has
Right.
gifts to share. I'm honored to just use this platform for people to share their gifts because this is vital information that people need to have. And just like investing, there are many people who make the assumption due to previous stereotypes and whatever false narratives that it's not accessible for them. So I'm so thankful that you shared the fact that, hey, business credit is perfect for startups.
Perfect for
That's
startups.
a lot of people think it's not accessible to them.
That's how Walmart got big. Like, these major companies, they, in order to scale, in order to grow, they like it's known, like that's what everybody does. They get capital, they leverage other people's money.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yes. Now I have to ask the obvious question here because when you tell me, okay, I can utilize business credit to purchase property, I'm thinking to myself, am I really standing with an American Express card at the closing table? What does that look like?
So, so typically, it depends on how whatever the lender will work out with you,
Okay,
right? Now, I typically like lines of credit.
got it.
So, that may look like you have a line, meaning it's available to you if you need.
Mm-hmm.
And what I like about lines of credit is you're not paying interest on that line. So you might have a line of credit that's $200,000, right?
Mm-hmm.
When you're ready, you take that out, and that's like cash, right?
Got it.
Just like a typical line on the consumer side, and you use it for whatever you want to use it with.
Got it.
So that's how you can do it. Now, sometimes with business credit, it can be, now I don't know about buying a property this way, but
Yeah.
sometimes you can, they might say, okay, we'll give you $100,000, and they'll your $100,000, they'll do that by offering you 10 um, credit cards with
Got it.
$10,000 limits, if that math was right. But you know, that's how they'll break down the $100,000.
Got it. Got it. That's vital. Thank you for explaining that. Because I was always curious. I've heard people do it, but I was like, once again, I'm very detailed oriented because I was like, how exactly does that look? Are we swiping at the closing table? What is happening here? Thank you for explaining that. Thank
And
you
you
for
can take out, cash advances and all of
yeah,
that stuff too if you did get credit cards.
got it. Got it. Got it. Got it. Now, once again, can you highlight any other advantages to having business credit that people aren't really taking advantage of? Does that make sense?
Yeah,
Because
so
the word here is leverage. I want people to get the maximum amount of leverage for business credit. So how can we get the max out of it?
yeah, I mean, like I said, I think real estate is a good one that a lot of
Mhm.
people don't think about. It's really tied to, um, they just think the automatic marketing and things like that. Um, you know, your car, like use it to all of these things, anything that you can write off, you buy it with your business credit as opposed to your consumer loan. Typically, the interest rates can
Yeah.
are lower and better.
Wow.
Right? The terms again are typically shorter,
Okay.
but because the rates are typically lower, um, and the terms are shorter, you are paying a lot less interest than you would on the consumer side. Take advantage of that.
That's powerful.
You know, why use the consumer? Let's say the average APR on the consumer side might be 18 to 24%, where maybe it's like 10% on the business side,
Yep.
so take advantage of that. When you're buying stuff, maybe you primarily um, use it, like, business expenses can be clothes,
Yep.
right? That can be a business expense. It
Yep.
can be a trip. I mentioned a trip earlier.
I
I don't
understand
mean
what you mean by that.
a vacation, you know what I
Yes.
mean? But maybe it's for a mastermind event or something like
Exactly.
that. Yeah, then go ahead. Use your business credit for that and pay less interest and continue, use it, pay it. And that's how you're going to continue to grow and build
Yeah.
your business credit.
I love
They love
that.
to see a lot of accounts. That's key. And that's something that I want to mention too, where, that's what they focus on. I said the on-time payments, but they
Mm-hmm.
also like to see a lot of accounts. Like, okay,
Which
so
is a
it's
complete opposite of personal credit, by the way, which is wild
right,
to me.
right. Well, personal credit, they like to see, you know,
Diverse, diverse accounts, correct?
right. So they like to see that. But business credit, yeah, the more accounts and they see you're doing that on time, the more they're like, okay, like you're good. Like that helps with your them lending to you. They feel more
Got
comfortable
it.
with that.
Got it. I have a friend of mine. The other thing that she schooled me on, and I said, "Oh, that's a real tip right there," is maximizing the points that you receive off of these cards anyway. And I said, "Oh, wow,
Let
wow,"
me
because she uses it to what is it for marketing. She does a lot of Facebook ads, as you know, that's quite pricey. She gets points back because she's paying for marketing, and she uses those points. She used those points to fly out her mom to come visit her. And I said,
first
"Well,
class. Let me tell you something.
oh,
Like I don't
oh,
I do not play when it comes
oh,
to like personal side and I'm gonna be real transparent. I gotta get a little bit better on the business side with taking advantage of stuff. But I get free. I got some Ray-Bans for my credit card company a couple of months ago. Uh, if you see me flying first class, it's because of my points. you know, Traveling, I barely pay any interest. Balance transfers. We got to take advantage of all the things. Credit is beautiful, and there's a misconception like, oh no, credit's bad. And I remember when I was younger, like my mom's was like, she was not hearing it. The credit card offers was coming to the house. She's like, no, don't do it, because she was just so scared that I was gonna mess it up.
yeah.
Where let's really share the right information. No, credit's dope. All right. Credit's where it's at. You have to be responsible for with it,
Mhm.
but if you use it how it should be used, and you use it even on the consumer side, where it's in a way where it can make you money. Let's say you buy some sneakers, but maybe if your plan is to buy and sell them, yeah, go ahead and
Yeah.
use your credit card. That's, you know what I mean? Like, that's fine. Like, think of it like that. Like, even I try, right? Anything that I purchase, and not everything, like not my clothes, but like my car. If I buy a car, how can I make money out on this car?
Yes.
you know, okay, well, maybe I'll drive Uber. Okay, well, if
Boom.
not, well, maybe I'll rent my car out. You know what I mean? On Toro
Mhm.
or on Get Around. Like, I need to make money. Single family home. Okay, like, let me buy a home that's large enough to rent out.
I love
How
that.
can I convert it? How can I have like, if it's going to take money out of my pocket, right? If it's going to be a liability, how can I, reverse that and make sure that it's an asset? It makes money for me,
I love
and
that.
that's what you want to have when you're thinking about credit too.
I love that. I love that. Looking at the stream potential at every purchase.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And because it all adds up in the end. It really
It
does. It all adds up.
it does. And I was and sometimes, my family gotta, they gotta like sometimes I could be a little extreme. Like my house, I have a single family, and
Mhm.
I like to do like exchange students and rent it out sometimes. And I was just thinking, I have 5 bedrooms. And I was like, my mom, she lives on the next street over, and she has like she has a multi-family, but she has like 1 bedroom, and she has 2 units. So I'm like, what if we just all like move into my mom's? We rent the whole house out, because it's like, no, mind you, I have 3 kids. I mean, like, but
Ain't gonna happen.
that's how my mind works. I'm like, oh, but we could just, even if it's 6 months, we could stack that money. We could buy some. But I think that's important for us to always,
Have that mindset though. That's
have
powerful.
that mindset, and
I
then
love
you're
that.
gonna make it work. With that mindset, you really can't go wrong.
It's true. It's true. I love that. And I also appreciate that you highlighted the importance of people knowing how to use credit properly. It's almost like understanding the difference between a law and a principle, right? When
Mm.
we understand fire, or classic example, we have children. Well, I don't yet, but with children, right? You teach a child the stove is hot, right? That's a law. Don't touch the stove is hot. But when the child grows older, you understand, hey, this is a stove. Yes, if you use it incorrectly, it can burn you. It can burn down the house. However, if you know how to use it properly, it can provide warm food for you, right? Like that's just a law and a
I
principle.
like it.
It's
I'm gonna use it. I'm gonna use
take it, girl, take it. Take it.
it.
Anyway, but that's the difference between a law and a principle. When we understand the basic principles of credit and overall financial education and investing,
Mm-hmm.
then we can figure out what tools are best to
Mm-hmm.
create the proper strategy to execute. Business credit is a tool, but if we're not taught how to use it properly and what are the dangers of it and also the advantages of it, it can prove fatal.
It can, and for me, and and everyone's different, but
Mhm.
I was always a more conservative investor.
Got it.
Um, and I think, a lot of people are like, we're scared to do something different naturally. Like if we haven't done it before, and the best progress comes from change,
True.
and
Speak on it.
trying something, right?
Yeah.
But I'm like an overthinker, and I always think, and whenever you analyze a deal, right, you always think of best case and worst case scenarios, right? That's what you should do. And my
Mhm.
mind would always be like, oh, well, what if this, what if that, what if this, what if that, and I would talk myself out of a lot of potential blessings. But business credit has helped me because now I think, oh, what's the worst that can happen? All right, well, the worst case scenario, I have to fold the business. But guess what? I can open up another business. I can open up another business doing the same thing that I was
Yep.
doing before. I still got my house. I
Yep.
still have, my car, and I could take my kids. I still have money in the bank. Like,
Yep.
so it gave me the courage. That's what I needed to go to the next level. I needed that
Mm.
push. So that's how it really, really helped me. And I think, there's probably a lot of other people that are like me that are more conservative.
Yep.
But listen, use it. Invest in yourself and invest in this education. You're my head of state sister. So I know you know all about, you know, investing in yourself
Yep.
and getting that education. Learn the process. Once you have that knowledge, and once and it's okay if you make some mistakes, because that's how you're gonna learn. You
It's
know what
called
I mean?
life. That's
Right.
called life. Yes.
And but invest in yourself. Don't be scared to invest in business credit. Don't be scared to, once you get business credit, to use it to invest. Don't just have it just to have it. Even with credit,
Yep.
and I'm somebody who like really always protected my credit, even on the consumer side, right? I was like, oh, I don't want to, my score will go down. Oh, like, but it's like, you don't just have it just to have it.
Yeah. What's the
Use
point of
it.
maintaining? I always tell my friend, what's the point of maintaining a 4.0 if you're not going to apply to college? Right? Like,
Exactly.
what's
Everyone,
the point?
G is on fire.
What's the point? We have to use these tools.
Right.
We have to use these tools. However, I want to touch on something that I used to have a question on, but I want to hear your thoughts on it.
Hmm.
What if a person at this time, especially in 2020, things hit rough? What if a person's personal credit has dropped down and they want to start applying for business credit? When you start applying for business credit, if you have a poor personal credit score, will that have an effect?
It can, but not so much.
Okay.
Um, you don't need you don't need good personal credit to have good business credit.
Got it.
Um, and the reason why I say it can, because when you're starting off, and if you haven't established, it depends on how soon you're trying to get these lines. So let's say you only have 3 or 4 net 30 accounts, but now you want like a $40,000 line of credit or a $20,000 line of credit. You want like a higher line,
Mhm.
but you just started, you don't have a ton of accounts. Sometimes the creditor they may want to take a look at your consumer, uh, on the consumer side, to get an
Right.
idea of you, because you haven't done everything else, and they haven't found out enough information about you on the
Yeah.
business side, right? So sometimes,
Almost like a resume, so to speak.
exactly. So depending on it, and it depends on the lender. Not all of them will do that,
Okay.
but so that's how it can matter sometimes, where they'll say, well, I don't know about this person. I'm iffy.
Mm,
Their credit profile doesn't tell me enough. I don't know how safe this is. Let
yeah.
me see if they're trustworthy as a person.
Got it.
And
Okay. All right. That makes perfect sense. Oh, I
mhm.
missed a question here. Jeanette said, let's see, what did she say here? True, I always talk myself out of situations. I know we're all guilty of it,
That
Jeanette.
girl is
We're
real.
all guilty of it.
Mhm,
We have to put a bridle on that negative self-talk and doubt.
mhm.
That's a different one. And she had, what was this? Any recommendations on business cards? Thoughts, Mish?
Well, um, it de- it depends on you and your business. I'll say I have a Chase business card.
Mhm,
I have an American Express business card.
mhm.
You know, I like them.
Okay.
I mean, it really depends on what you're looking for, right? Like
And what
some
your
people
needs
might
are.
like cash back, some people might like points, some people might like lower interest. You know what I mean? Like,
Mhm,
so I would just suggest determining what you enjoy, and looking into it. Like,
mhm,
one of the things, like, I have like a vendor book for my clients, and I like break down, like, okay, the requirements for the vendors, their contact information, and you can also find out like what their terms are too. So
mhm.
depending on what you would rather go for. Would you rather do cash back? Would you rather a little lower interest rate? Would you rather uh
Yeah,
you know points, rewards? It's really up to you.
yeah.
Sometimes how they get me um really is, oh, you're gonna do 18 months 0% interest. Okay, so that's what I'm saying. It's like,
Got it.
so
But
that's
it
how I got
also
those two. That's how I ended up with those two credit cards that I got. I didn't necessarily say, go out and apply. I got offers, and I was like, I like what they were speaking, you know.
but excuse me, that also goes to the point where you mentioned earlier of knowing what you need. You
Right,
have to know what you need first. And once you know what you need first, you can figure out what's the best fit for you.
right.
Before we transition, I want you to tell the people what is actually what you do when you work with them one-on-one. What do you do with your one-on-one business clients?
So my one-on-one business clients is a one-on-one experience. Like, they have my cell phone number.
Oh, is
Um,
that you give them the number, Mish?
yeah, they get my number.
Wow.
Yeah. So we do. So they have training videos. So what's dope about that is you can always watch it. You get PDFs, you get training videos. So it's almost like an online course. However, um, I think I'm a big believer, to really have success. Part of that comes with accountability. So that's why
Mhm.
I do the one-on-ones, because some people, they'll pay for it. And I'm gonna keep it funky with y'all. I've paid for online courses and then like didn't get to it, or you know got to it like a year later.
Yeah.
So the one-on-one is important, because now you have me holding you. Hey, what's up? Where we at with this? And I'm gonna push you along the process, because I don't want to have to work with you. No disrespect, but I don't want to have a client for 1 year.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, we need to get you going. We need to get you this funding. It should be a 3-month period, 90 days. I work with you up to 6 months. I have a guarantee.
Okay.
So, to really help the process. But they have a client folder, And in that folder, they have the videos, they have the PDFs, and they have completion documents,
Mm.
which is like a Google form where I literally lay out everything. It's like a checklist to a certain extent. Like, did you do this? Did you do this? Did you do this? Enter this here. So it's nice because you have, it's not just yes or no questions, but it'll be
Okay.
some of your business information. And that's some stuff that you should, I recommend printing out, having in your binder, having access to it. You get the vendor booklets. But yeah, you have my phone number, and we schedule the calls. Like, don't call
Yeah.
me at 11 o'clock at night on a Tuesday. We don't do that. But I really, I truly, I'm passionate about this, and I really care. And some of them, I have a credit client, business credit client, and he's asking me some stuff on the consumer side, and
Yeah.
it's all love. You
Yeah.
know what I mean? Like, it's all love. Like, I'll help you with that too. If I can help, I'm gonna help. But it's a personal experience.
I
It's
love.
not just like an online course, but you have access, lifetime access to things, so you can rewatch it and you can really understand and retain it, because you don't always catch it right away, and
Yeah.
sometimes you wanna, okay, well, let me rewatch that, and okay, well, I know we went over this 3 weeks ago, but now I'm ready to execute, so let me go over it again, and then if I have questions, let me schedule a call. And I also work with lenders. Like, I'm the plug.
Hey.
And that's really how I like got started. It only made sense. Like, you can go on some lenders' websites and you might see my face. Now, I'm not a lender,
Mm-hmm.
um, but I work with them, so that's how I know what they're looking for. And
Mm-hmm.
sometimes, like, the lenders can be kind of shady. They're not going to give you. They don't want people lying on the application, so they might
Mm-hmm.
not tell you everything that the underwriter is looking for. But
Yeah.
I might talk to them like, "Hey, Gary," that's a fake name, but
Yeah.
hey, Gary, so what does my client need to do to get X? What are you looking for X, Y, and Z, so I know who to send you?
Nice.
So now
Nice.
I know, okay, well, this person, this is what you need to, do for this person. This
Mhm.
is what this is what you're gonna submit, and if you want to get approved for this loan, so that's a benefit.
That's
Mhm.
huge. I have
Mhm.
to acknowledge Kim. Kim, you're absolutely right. Kim says accountability is important
For
in
real.
more ways than one, Kim. I could not agree with you more. And then the $1 million question, I like Jeanette. Jeanette she's not playing games. She wants to know, do you welcome new business owners?
Jeanette, listen, Jeanette, what you got the contact, and Jeanette.
Let me
Hey,
Jeanette,
hey,
email, email
hey,
me.
okay, of course. Like, I'm still fairly a new business owner, and I know the struggle as a new business owner.
Yeah.
I'm telling you, like, this ain't something that I'm just saying just to say it, because I already told y'all, like, business credit is not mandatory. I'm not going to sit up here and fake the funk and tell y'all, oh, it's mandatory for you to be
Yeah.
successful. But I know for me, when I got business credit, I was much more willing to use that money and invest. Like, it was easier for me to start paying for marketing. And guess what? You can have the best product in the world, and if nobody knows about it, you're not gonna make no money. That's just
Fact.
that. You know what I mean? So you gotta make sure that people can hear what you have to offer. You know what I mean? So that I'm like, all right, well, let me start marketing, and it really, like, it helped me grow my business, and it helped me better understand business, because now
Mm,
I'm looking at, like, okay, well, what is my conversion looking like? And if, okay, I'm investing this much in this ad and I'm doing tests, it's really teaching me about business, what works and what doesn't. So, I highly, highly encourage new business owners. Like, in my opinion, that's who
mhm.
can use business credit the most.
Yeah.
Because how are you going to? It's so tough if you're new business. Well, how do you have money for marketing if you're not making any money?
Yeah.
You know
Yeah.
what I'm saying? Like, it's just like, dag.
Fact.
And then and it's a real tough transition because
Jeanette,
sometimes,
sorry. She says, yes, girl, I'm struggling. We got you, babe. We
and
got
Jeanette,
you.
so and this is what we're gonna do too. Anybody who's interested, who's watching this, what are we gonna make the code? Gia, let's make the code
No,
Gia. What
Kaizen.
is okay, make the code.
Kaizen. Here,
Let's put
I'll
it
do
in
it.
there. Okay.
I got you. I got you.
All right. So you can email me or DM me. I'm capital_credit_ Meesh on Instagram. Anybody that wants my service, you DM me Kaizen, right? I'll do a promo code for you. I'll give you 20% off any service that you want. And we're gonna make that offer good for the next. Well, I know some of the YouTubers are a little
I
late, so
know.
we'll just make it. We'll keep it. We'll keep it because they might not see this till a couple of weeks or something like that.
Yeah.
So we're not even going to do an expiration date. All right. So y'all just hit me up. You get 20% off. But yeah, I mean it's and some people like it's like you're working full time, but if
Yeah.
you put so much hours in your full time job, you haven't really been able to put enough time in your business to grow your business, or you can have gone all in like I did, maybe even a little too early, but I like went all in, and then it was just like, okay, like now what? Business credit.
Yeah.
Like it just made me feel so
Yeah.
much more comfortable. And it really, really helped me to grow my business. And I'm about to use it to buy a property too.
Oh.
Um so I'm gonna use it to buy it. Yeah, I'm gonna use it. And there's certain, like I said, there's certain things that they look for. I already went to like take advantage of it. And I don't
Mhm.
mind sharing like my struggles with y'all because I think that's real and people need to
It's
hear that.
about that time
But
part.
and I yeah, yeah. Um but I couldn't do, they analyze it and I couldn't get it. And this is what I do. But that area that I was looking for was a little too rural for them. But I'm like trying to take every
Yeah.
advantage if I can with business credit. All
Oh,
take all the advantage of it.
love it. Hold on one second, Mish. To my beautiful people on Instagram, the timer is telling me that our time is up. So this is about to shut down. I highly suggest you hit the link in my bio and join us on YouTube because we're not even done yet. Mish is dropping gems. I don't want you to miss out. So hit the link in my bio, join us on YouTube. This is where the party's happening. If not, this was ciao. Good night. Okay, back. So Kim asked a question that you already
Okay.
kind of touched on, but I want her to say, she says, so Mish, do you help for those who want to flip houses as well? I totally butchered that question, but you already kind of touched on it.
Yeah, so I mean they can use
The
business
capital,
credit,
business credit.
the
Yeah.
capital, right? I don't like help out and do like house flipping, but yes, I get you in the direction and you can use business credit to flip houses. And that's very common. Like for example, I have a client right now who's just using business credit for real estate.
Smart, smart move. Now, I want to go ahead and transition. So, beautiful ones who are watching us tonight, once again, if you want to work with Mish, you just email her at that email right there. Use the name Kaizen, Kaizen, for 20% off. You're welcome. See, I'll be looking out for y'all. You're welcome. And that's how giving Mish is. I'm just saying.
The
See, that's the
plug.
beauty of being hood estates. Hood estates elite. See, we do that for each other. We do, we do that for
Mhm.
each other. But I want to transition. So, beautiful people, we are transitioning to what I call the B side. Because you know how a cassette tape has an A side and a B side. And yes, because I'm a 90s kid. I miss cassette tapes. I want to talk about, I do. I low key do. I want to talk about you.
All the spinning, I don't miss that.
You don't miss that?
Okay, go ahead.
Oh, it made you.
No, it getting stuck, and then you putting your
You know,
finger
you
in.
remember you used to
Nah.
wait for the song to come on so you could record it on your cassette tape. I used to do that. I used to wait
Yeah,
at the radio for
100%. Yeah,
and then hit
yeah,
record. I just 100% bootleg. That's how it was. But me,
yeah, yeah.
I want to know this. You have been a business owner for how long now? Ballpark. And just it doesn't have to be this particular business, but you have been on this entrepreneurial journey for a ballpark how long, beautiful? How long?
I would say about 18 years.
Meesh, clap that
hmm
for Meesh.
hmm And that is like registered business. Like honestly, like I was getting to it as a kid. Like I tell these stories, and that's why I be giving my kids like, yo, what are you doing? Like I was knocking on doors. Like, can I wash your car?
Mm.
You know what I mean? Like going door to door, washing cars, making babysitting flyers. So I always um, did stuff like that, but registered legal business, I
Mhm.
probably started that around like 21.
Wow, that's
hmm
awesome.
hmm
Now,
And I was whack. I was whack.
well, how
At 21, I was whack.
but you have to start
I'm
somewhere
not gonna
though.
lie. Like, yeah. And
You
and
got to start somewhere.
I mean, and looking back, it was just cool that I knew, especially back then, because I mean, I'm sometimes I forget my age. I'm like, how old am I? So
Me
I'm
too.
38. I'm 38. I had to think about it, but I'm almost 40. So back when I was 21, like I feel and I love where we're at now. Like now everybody's talking business,
Yes.
everybody's like wants to be a boss, which is super dope, right? But back then, looking back, for me, I didn't know enough about business. Um, but looking back, it was dope that I'm a 21-year-old with a registered business. You know what I mean? Because that's not where everybody was on back then. But I didn't take the time to really invest in the knowledge, right? And I'm like freestyling. I wasn't
Yes.
doing what I'm doing now in terms of investing in my education and reading a ton of books and taking online courses. And sometimes I get a little confused, like, and I'm definitely somebody that practice what I preach.
Mhm.
Y'all heard me talk about online courses earlier, but sometimes people, they don't want to pay $50, $100, $500, even $2,000, whatever, for online. But I'm like, you won't do that where you can specifically learn about what you want, but you'll pay $40,000 for a degree. And I'm not knocking anybody,
Yeah.
you know what I mean, with a degree, but sometimes because it doesn't hurt to invest in yourself and your education. I think that's one of the most powerful things that you can invest in.
Yeah.
But don't don't hold a degree here and spend $40,000 on a college degree, but not spend $500 to learn about stock investing. You feel me?
Listen.
Like I don't, that's just me. That's how I see it. So and back then I wasn't on that. I
Mhm.
wanted to open up a business and just thought like, oh well, not really know much about marketing, and I was a marketing major. I was a
Wow,
marketing
Meesh.
major, but this is the thing, you take the little bit that you learn in school, and sometimes it doesn't always apply. And fast forward, you can't, like, what I learned when I was a marketing major is not, social media was
Yeah.
non-existent back then.
Yeah.
Social media is how I make the majority of my money in my business.
Yep.
So honestly, the stuff that I was learning for my degree, a lot of that's irrelevant. So I'll be feeling myself if I wasn't taking the time to if I felt like, oh, I have a college degree, oh, I know. No, well, it's a new day. You know what I mean? And even if you did it 2 years ago, I get tired of all the changes Instagram be making. You know what I'm saying? So there's always something to learn. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? Like, invest in your education, read books, take these online courses, get a coach. That's
Mhm.
what we was talking about. The accountability is
Yeah.
key. Like, it's not a weakness. Like, Russell Brunson has a coach.
Thank
You
you.
know what I'm
Yes.
saying?
Yes,
Denzel
exactly.
Washington has
With
an
a
acting
coach.
coach. Like,
Yes,
all of these people, like millionaires, have coaches. And I'm a big believer, like, yo, I like to follow successful people. And
exactly.
I'm not necessarily listening to every single thing that they say, but if I see a common theme, okay, well, LeBron James got a coach, Denzel Washington got a coach,
Kobe had a
and these
coach.
are
Yep.
like, well, I should have a coach.
Yes.
Like, I mean, like, if they got coaches, And we're talking about some of the best basketball players in the game. And
Yes.
if they have coaches, and not just their regular coach like on their team, not like the Phil
No.
Jackson coach. I'm talking about private on the side coaches and trainers. If they got it, but you don't need one, and you still like, come on. I don't know. That's just me.
Ooh, Mish, wow.
And
I'm so but no, I'm so thankful you said that though. Because in many ways, sometimes people misunderstand and say, well, oh my goodness, Kobe was naturally talented. Yes, but here's the power of Kobe. Here's the power of LeBron. Here's the power of Michael Jordan and any other great that you admire and respect. Even though they knew that they had this natural ability, they did not rest on their laurels, excuse me. They were obsessed with improvement. And that is why they are
Mm-hmm.
the greats that we know today. Because if
I
we're
love
not focused on constant improvement, then guess what? You stagnate, right? Because you're staying still. Nobody
mm-hmm,
wants that. Nobody
mm-hmm,
wants that. Now, Mish, here's my other question for you, dear.
mm-hmm.
Business has its ups and downs. It is a roller coaster. What are some things you learned from your, I don't like the word failure, but some losses that you turned into lessons? What are some things that you said, wow, I learned from that. And because of that, I am a better business owner?
So being able to one accept the losses and the
Mm,
lessons where, like I said, like I started probably around 21 with my first business, and it was not profitable, and I was just like, and I tried like different things. I remember like I had this idea, and I had some great ideas, right? But there's so much that goes into business than a great idea. I feel like honestly the great idea is probably one of the lower tiers. You could have a great idea, but if you don't have the execution, where does it go? You could have a great idea, but if you don't have the knowledge, where does it go? Right? So I had a great idea, and I was like, this is when I was in college, and I'm like, I'm gonna make college teas, and I'm going to like have like cool terms, and I'm gonna like sell them. And I just thought like I could go to the malls and like, hey, put this in your store. You know what I'm saying? And okay, you don't want to buy it up front, no problem. Like, let's do consignment. I'm like, oh, the carts, the mall carts,
yeah,
like, oh,
yeah,
they
yeah.
gotta take me, like, right? And let's say, and I don't really remember exactly, but let's say like I tried for like a week and I got a bunch of no's, and I was like, oh, that didn't work. And I had a bunch of teas that I paid for, didn't sell, tried for 1 week, got no's, and I wrote on the box failed teas, and like I just
Oh,
stored it away. You know what I mean? But it's just like what I learned from that is, that was dumb. Why did you stopped mad early? Like
yes.
you didn't, but you thought you was just gonna. But that's how I was like, oh, this is a great idea, and you know what I mean, just being really young and naive. Um, but it's just like, okay, well, one, keep going.
Mhm.
So that was a really important lesson, and I really honestly didn't even get that grit until the last few years. And I think
Mm,
because of that, is why I am where I am at now with business. And even when I first started the business that I have now, I was doing something completely different. My
right.
background, I was a higher up um, in the retail world. Like close to like an executive, right? In terms of the retail side. And um, I felt like I knew a lot about retail and business. And so I was like, okay, well, and I did like a lot of hiring and a lot of training, and I had all these employees in all these different states. And so I said, okay, well, my business will be to help people get jobs,
Oh,
because
wow.
that's what I was doing to a certain extent. And a couple of things, and it didn't really work out for me.
Mm,
One, because that's probably what God wasn't trying to have me do.
mhm.
But two, it's something that I wasn't necessarily passionate about. I was just going, okay, well, this is what I was doing when I was working for somebody, so now I'm gonna do it working for, you know what I mean?
Yourself.
And everybody would always come to me. My sound,
No, you're fine.
can you hear me?
Yeah. Can you
Oh,
hear
I
me?
thought you said your sound. Sorry.
Oh no.
Everybody, yeah, I can hear you. Everybody would always come to me with like financial stuff, and credit stuff, right? But I'm like pushing career stuff. But meanwhile, people are coming to me with like financial stuff because I bought a house in my early 20s. I was always pretty good with like budgeting and business minded and had like immaculate credit at a young age. And I was moving and grooving, and I
Yeah.
always knew how to make a dollar, and people were coming to me for that, but I was focused on something else. So same business name and everything, and I was just like, you know what, if people are coming to me for this, let me completely redid my website, rebranded myself, and started all over. Now I could have quit and said, "Oh, this career stuff didn't work," but I was just like, you know what? Let me try new things. And part of the process is testing.
Mhm.
And you can't be successful in business if you don't have any failures. Like you have to test what works and what doesn't.
Yes.
Because and even sometimes you might think something works, right? But you don't know that it didn't really work until you try something else and try something different. You might have thought like, wow, I made some great money. I've had like a launch that I felt like was really successful and I was proud. But as I grow in my business and understand more about business, I'm like, well, you know what? I thought that was great, but woo, I made this month, and that's because I did X, Y, and Z,
Yeah.
so I tried different things. So one of the I say all that to say I just think it's super important to um, keep going,
Yeah.
and to invest in yourself and not be, that is the one investment that you can control.
Mm.
I can even invest in real estate and I don't have 100% control of that, right?
Right.
Because you know there could be so many different factors, and real estate's one of the safest investments that you can make.
Mhm.
But an investment in yourself, you can rely on you,
Yes.
so
Yeah. But
that,
I'm
I
sorry.
think
Go ahead.
that's key.
That
That's it. I think that's key. Hmm.
But I'm so thankful you said that because in many ways you just said that traditionally the best investment is real estate, right? Under the monetary framework. However, the sad thing is that as humans, we have a bad habit of putting trust and having greater confidence in someone else or another entity than we do ourselves. It's so hard for
Hmm.
people to bet on themselves. So
Hmm.
the crazy thing is that we think that betting on ourselves is a risky investment, which is absolutely absurd.
Hmm.
No one has control
Hmm.
over self than self. So who better to bet on than yourself? So my follow-up question to you,
Right.
babe, is can you tell me one investment in yourself that has benefited you immensely? And it doesn't have to be big or small, it can be anything.
I can't name one. I think, and I would say, if I have to name one, because I would just say it in my education, not my
Mm,
college education, but me learning. Like I invested a ton of money to learn about business credit. I didn't
mm,
just, and even consumer credit. I feel like I knew some things young, but I still like studied a craft. You know what I mean?
yeah.
Like I still might take a course, and I feel like I know a lot about credit, right? But I'll still do it to see if there's something that I didn't know.
Mm,
I'll go on Google News and credit and see, okay, well, Google is giving, employees, they're paying towards their college debt. And, I like to like be in the knowing what's going on. So for me, um, education is
mm,
probably the best investment that I've made, and being particular about um, the type of money that I invest in education because it's made me more money. Me learning about business credit, I make money. I've made what I've invested to learn about business credit, I made that back and then some. You know what I mean? It not only did it help me, but now I'm helping other people. What I, hidden states, that was an investment,
Yeah.
and I learned a lot from being a Hood Estates Elite member, and not just being a Hood Estates Elite member, which is super dope in everything that I learned, but it was also an investment that was even one of the more powerful things, right? Is probably some of the relationships that I
Yep.
built,
I could not agree more
you
with that
know?
statement.
Like,
Yep. Seriously.
and so, um, I could take it, and well, you may not know, but I'm a licensed realtor. I'm just
Mhm.
I was like rushing to get on here because I was just submitting an offer, which, by the way, my client got.
Hey.
But hey, I know. So tonight was the night celebration. But I'm not gonna say like, oh, I know. Like, people that think they know it all know nothing. I
Mm,
always, and I wasn't always like that. Like when I was younger, I didn't really like to read, and now, like, please, I got my Amazon Audible. I would bang out like a book a week, just driving in the car, listening to books, really trying to just soak up anything that I can get in and learn. So
mhm.
for me, I think education is powerful because that's something that you can pass on.
Yeah.
It's something that I could pass on my children.
Mhm.
It's something that I can make money off of once I know, right?
Mhm.
Like, I'm always thinking, how can I flip some? How can I? Okay,
Yeah.
well, now that I have the knowledge, I could sell that information, and it's powerful. It's worth a lot of money. So I would say that was probably the most important investment. Now, I can't pick which education piece,
No. Yeah.
but I just, the education.
Now, can you share with people your mentorship? Because I think that is so cool.
Oh, yes, 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 yes. So, um, I have a mentorship program called Triple G. And what Triple G stands for is grit, grind, and growth.
Oh, I didn't
Um,
know that. That's so nice.
and
I like that.
yeah, yeah, yeah. And really, like, I just like being like, oh, I'm a triple G. And then I just try to make it, that's how I made it work. But I mean, I went through a process, right, where I was just soaking up so much within, and this was like the last 2 years.
Mm,
Anything that I could learn about, I wanted to learn about. I wanted to really be the best me. I lost, nearly 50 pounds. I was exercising, and I just wanted like the triple double. You know what I mean?
mm,
Like in basketball terms, like you're just great at you're great at rebounding, you're good at shots, you're having like a success, right? Which is also another play on the triple G,
mhm.
where I wanted like my home life. That's on point.
Yeah.
I wanted my finances to be right. I wanted my health to be right because I think in order to be happy, we really need all of those things. Like, what's the point of having all this money if your
Mm,
home situation is wet? You know what I mean?
yes.
Or if your health is bad and you can't really enjoy it. So, Triple G is focused on all of those things. It's focused
Mhm.
on finances, and it's focused on health and wellness. So in that, I got like the best of the best. And a lot of people who I've worked with and I've invested in, you know, um, to be instructors.
Mm,
So it's a group, and we hold each other accountable. We have a private group chat. There's different presenters. So one of my mentors, Pocky, he's one of the instructors, and he talks about the trucking business. Trapper, he talks about real estate. Student loan doctor, she talks about student loans.
yeah.
I'm on there. I'm an instructor. I talk about credit. And so Ash Cash, he's an instructor.
Oh,
Like,
I
I
love
got the best of the
him.
best.
You got the
So
all-stars.
Ash, yeah, it's the all-star team. Ash is talking about how to make money from book sales.
Mhm.
Um, and then I have some dope health and wellness coaches that are talking about fitness and dieting and like so. all of these things. I have a therapist and a life coach on there, who's talking about mental health, and we talk about apps and meditation. So it's super dope. I'll probably so we already had our first group this year, and I'll probably right now there's no open enrollment at the moment, but I'm thinking we'll probably have open enrollment for that probably early 2021,
Okay.
maybe January, February. I'll reopen enrollment. So if anybody's interested, they can hit me up with that, and the discount code would apply for that too. I would have to create one, but
Yeah.
yeah, and they can be a part of the movement. Everybody gets a free
That's
gift that comes
beautiful.
aboard. Yeah, and we just all and again, it's like building relationships. And I love, they share stuff with one another if they read a helpful article or downloaded a cool app. And really just building relationships, you know. So it's dope.
That's so very necessary. I love that so much. It's because there's so many ways if you don't have those communities of support. This path, we said it before we even hit live. It is a roller coaster. You have moments where you think you flying high. You have moments you're like, Lord, why did I even start this business in the first place? Why? It
Mhm.
goes back and forth, back and forth. It's beautiful to
Mhm.
have that community where you guys can pour into each other, support each other, know that it's normal. Sometimes that line, just knowing that no, this is the path. It is not a straight line. It is a roller coaster. That's
Mhm.
huge.
Mhm.
That's huge.
Yeah.
Now, my one last question before we wrap up is this. Because business ownership is not linear, because business ownership requires a lot of work, what makes it worth it for you? What makes it worth it? Someone asked me this question prior to, and I was thinking about it myself. Anyone can have, and once again, I'm not knocking any W 2 job. I have a W 2 job as well. Hey, love it. However, what is the real beauty in having a business? What are the assets that comes with business ownership for you?
For me, it's really control of my time, right? And
Mm,
I felt like honestly, and I think it's why I kept my W-2 job as long as I did, because of the position that I had. I felt like I could do what I want. You know what
yeah,
I mean? Just to be honest, like my boss didn't live in the same state as me, and my boss was technically my boss, but it's not like my
a
boss was like
traditional.
telling me, yeah, like he's not like telling me what to do, reprimanding me, like, you know what I mean? Um, but I still, for the most part, would get up and go to work Monday through Friday. Well, and not even like because I got to work from home. So I was like real comfortable.
Mm,
I was like real comfortable. And to be quite honest, I planned like my company started having like financial trouble. And I was able to recognize it early because in my position, like I'm seeing the
mm,
numbers. So I'm like, oh, this any day now, and that's what I was thinking. And I'm like, and they closing all these stores and all these businesses. Everybody's getting laid
mm,
off. And I was like, when they gonna? I'm like waiting for it, right? And I'm like, and I was telling them, I was preparing. I was telling my friends, my family, and it was just like they kept holding on. And finally, he called me, hey Kim, like all like I was just like, oh yeah, no, we like give it, because one, I was mentally preparing for this. I was already like, okay, I'm gonna go into business for myself. And for me, like, oh well, I'm gonna get that severance package, then I'm gonna collect unemployment all while working on my business. Sounds good to
mm,
me. So it was like it was a blessing for me. But I felt like I had control of my time because of the type of job that I had, and it was very flexible. But I don't have control of my time because, you know, yeah, I could call out, I could take vacation days, but I can't do something on a whim where it's like, you know what? I'm gonna do this today. Oh, my girl needs me, I'm gonna
Mhm.
do this, or I want to, I like to travel a lot. So now I'm doing that way more than I ever done it before, where,
Yeah.
like literally it's almost, I feel like it's like almost like a tour sometimes where it could be draining, right? So I have more control. Now, you still have to be disciplined,
Yeah.
right, with that, because sometimes, when you're working for yourself, everybody doesn't respect your time. You know what I'm saying? So,
So
and you
true.
have to be, and it's still a work in progress, because sometimes my mom, like I said, she lives real close. Hey, you want to go grab some lunch? All right, mom, where I could be in the middle of working. So, there's still a line where you have to be disciplined. But the fact that if I want to, I can. If there is like a school play, like I'm not like rushing and leaving and then rushing
Mhm.
to get back to work. Nah, like I could be there for the whole day. I could the homeschooling.
Oh
I wouldn't be able to
yeah.
do that for my children if I was working, so just seeing little things. And my partner, he was um employed and working for somebody else for our whole relationship. And during COVID, his company, he was basically furloughed, and he was to the point he was enjoying having control of that time. And you don't know what that feels like, because I was working since I was 14 years old. So this is kind of all I knew. And so for months, he had control of his time. And he was like, I ain't going back. And now he's working for himself too.
That's beautiful.
So um, for me, that is just having the control of my time is so key. And me personally, if I could make $150,000 working for somebody else, or I could make, half of that, what's that, 75,000 or something?
Oh, you
If
said
I could make
150.
75,000, yeah, is that, I don't know. I think 75 somewhere around. Or if I could make that much working for myself, I would take the 75. And that's the new Mish, because the old Mish, I'm all about the dollar. Show me the check. Oh, what? I'm there. But I would take less money to really be able to, because that money and passive money in a lot of the income that I make now is passive. And that's just, it's a feeling that I really can't explain.
Mm.
But feels so good. Sometimes I wake up and it's like I get the notifications. I'm like, you've made a sale. That's what it says. And it's like the exclamation point. And to see that, and I'm like, oh, making money in your sleep, because that's really how you're going to become wealthy. Even if you're an executive, right? Like to really become like wealthy, even if you have a great paying job, you're going to need to take that money that you're making and invest, whether that's in
Yep.
real estate, that's in a business. That's how the wealthiest people became wealthy. You invest in
Yeah.
its ownership, you invest in stock, you invest in a business or your own business, or real estate, right? So, that's what you have to do. And now I have the time to learn more, to travel to like more mastermind events, or take, so to me, without going on and on and on, that's what's um really dope about being an entrepreneur. And it's worth, there's hard times,
Mm.
and it's
Yeah.
like, yo, I make the right decision. And there's times where I've thought about like, oh well, maybe I should go back to work and I could stack and make this real quick and this. But it feels good to feel like I'm walking in my purpose.
Mm.
And I'm to the point where um people are DMing me. People are like telling me how much I've helped them. I've helped their business. I've helped them, get their homes. I've done. And before we go, let me just show you this. Let me just
Please.
take this. Uh, I don't know if you can see. Hold on, let me turn on my hallway light. I don't know if can you see this. You probably can't see this
It's
posted,
a
right?
post-it
But
note.
I'll
It
read
says,
it.
I will have a positive. You read
It's
it.
it says I will have a positive impact on 100 people's life by February 2020. So I have put
Oh,
I have positive affirmations all over my house. And that was one of my positive affirmations. And I didn't keep track of the number, and I wish I did, right? But I probably gave myself, that was like maybe 6 months. And it feels dope because now I'm like, wow, like the power and like almost all the post-it notes, no lie, like that I put around my house and that I look at on a regular basis. Like, and some of them are with my kids. Like, my kids will be more independent now. They're like cooking. It's so dope, right? And so that was one of them. And I literally have clients that, you know what I mean, that are like really grateful, and I know like, yo, I'm leaving my mark. Like, I'm making a difference. And that's dope to me. And I'm making a difference that I feel like I would have never been able to make at the job that I was at, what I was doing. Some people can, right? Depending on their career and, what type of job they have. But where I was at, I wouldn't have had this impact. So that's another one of the things that I really, really love about working for myself.
that is so beautiful and powerful. Thank you so much for sharing that. Mish,
My
this
God,
was
of course.
phenomenal. Thank you so much for coming on the show tonight.
You
Thank
humble.
you. Thank you.
Thank you
Just
so much for
thank
the
you.
opportunity, man. Thank you. Appreciate it.
Seriously, for everyone who's hung out with us tonight, thank you so much. If you benefited from the show, please tell your cousin, tell your husband, tell your man, tell your sister, tell your auntie, tell everybody to come back next Sunday at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. If you haven't already done so, go and follow Mish. Mish, what's your Instagram handle?
Capital Credit Meesh. Capital underscore credit underscore Meesh.
Mish, exactly. Make sure to follow her. Once
Get some
again,
free free tips and gems.
she has gifted us with 20% off. Use the word Kaizen and make sure that you screenshot, where is it? Her email address. Okay. All right, beautiful ones. Thank you so much for joining us tonight. Mish, thank you, thank you, thank you. Until next week,
And talk to
everyone.
you again. Bye, everyone.
Thank you. Besos. Ciao.
All right.